Welcome to Gloria's Gab Live. I have an exciting guest today. We're going to learn all about the Coconut Grove Crisis Food Pantry.
You got it.
And we got Nick Smith here. Thank you so much for coming. Before we start, I have to thank our sponsors. South Florida PBS is our sponsor week after week. And I'm sure you're a member, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you're a member, you get one of these once a month. It tells you everything that's going on. And amazing programs coming up. And if you're not a member, there's a lot of good show tickets that they're giving away. Fab Force, the Doo-Wop Project, Mannheim Steamroller, Benice, Music of ABBA, just to mention a few. So good time to be joining if you're not already a member. So thank you to South Florida PBS. So let's start. The food pantry I just found out about, and I was so excited to get in contact with you. And so thank you for coming today.
Of course.
We have a lot of people don't know about the food pantry.
That is true.
So tell us, where should we start about how you got involved initially?
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, you're here from England.
Well, so I grew up in England, indeed. I am a Miamian now, an American citizen, but I consider myself a Miami citizen, really. So part of the local crowd, and indeed. So when I first moved here, that was back at the end of 2018. 2019, you'll remember, was the hurricane in the Bahamas. So I didn't have my work visa, so I had plenty of time to volunteer.
Do nonprofit work.
Precisely.
Yes.
So through my church, Plymouth Congregational, that I got involved in. Exactly. I'm a member there. Yeah. Through my church, they put out that they were looking for help at the local donation center, which was at Christ Episcopal, Gibson Hall. So that's the pink church in Coconut Grove, for anyone who knows. Yeah. So I turn up there, the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and soon after, what you find is you get given more responsibility. This guy's
got time.
Mm-hmm. So for the following 3 weeks after that, I actually managed the warehouse in Wynwood, where we shipped out 500 pallets to the Bahamas, which was all the donations that the listeners will know that they gave to the fire stations. So the fire stations then gave the donations to us and shipped them in, and we shipped them out, and it went out to the Bahamas, and that was a fantastic experience. And shortly thereafter, I got my green card and I started working, and I've been gainfully employed ever since. Thankful to say.
So what do you do when you're not doing crisis food?
So, exactly. Well, so other than golf, which is my main job, no, I'm kidding. That's my hobby. But I work for NASDAQ, the stock exchange in New York, specifically in futures and options.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a different thing to be volunteering, but I like to have a diverse life.
Well, it's very satisfying to volunteer, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It absolutely is.
It gives.
It just giving back to the community. I think is just something that we all can do, and with. I think my story gives a good idea of like where sometimes organizations you can support in ways that they may not know they need support, and you may not know you have the ability to support them. So in that guise, I after the Hurricane Dorian relief, we had shared the space at Gibson Hall at Christ Episcopal in Coconut Grove with the food pantry that was running their weekly operations of giving out food. Mm-hmm. So again, through all this, Plymouth Congregational then asked me to join their Board of Outreach, and that's the Board of Outreach and Mission at Plymouth Congregational. And one of the main missions of the Plymouth Congregational's Board of Outreach is the Coconut Grove Crisis Food Pantry, which I'm representing today.
There you go.
And so through that, what happened was, you can probably do the math, 2020. So March 2020 rolls around.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So obviously COVID, and we decided that because we had various missions, but a lot of them we couldn't do anymore. We, hands-on volunteering was just not necessarily possible in the way that we could do it prior to that, and organizations were figuring out how we can continue to support them. Right. So, for example, Chapman, we started providing just the money to give the bags of food instead of doing food service, that type of thing. Okay. But with the food pantry, we were able to still provide food, but just in a different guise. So what we arranged was food drives. And ever since March of 2020, we've done a monthly food drive at Plymouth Congregational where the congregants come around. Now, when we first started it, they would drive around and we would get the food out of the trunk and wave to them. And
exactly.
That was that. And then obviously that's become more of a social endeavor now. But we've continually supported the food pantry in that way ever since.
Okay, but then when you were distributing the food, I know during COVID, I was going to a tropical park on Fridays, different days, but usually it was on Friday. I think it was on Fridays, and we would all these different people would just come with truckloads of food,
right,
from fruit to milk to whatever, and we would fill trunks. I mean, hundreds of cars would come lined up.
Yep.
How did you distribute the food during that time?
Yeah, exactly. Great question. So before the pandemic, we only really had about 50 clients. We would typically ask them to come to us.
Right.
And during the pandemic, not only did that number increase, and just so you know, right now we support 230 households with weekly groceries now. That is amazing. Which is fabulous. It shows the need, which is unfortunate, but it does. It's nice that we're able to support in that way. But as a result of the pandemic, what we did instead was deliveries. And I think actually that's really helped to grow our support for the people who need it most.
Right.
You know,
because a lot of times they can't come, or they don't have a car.
They don't have a car. They don't have access to transport. So those types of barriers to entry to some of the other food programs, we're actually being able to fill that gap, which is really satisfying.
So, and because you're in a relatively small area, you're not all over Miami-Dade County.
Correct.
It's easier for you to. So what do? You put them in the trunk of your car, and then they pop the trunk, take your bag out.
We have weekly drivers. So we have about a dozen weekly drivers who go to about 20 or so locations. And those are typically, folks on the same street or something, and they'll just they'll meet the clients and hand over the food. Yes, in the pandemic, it was more efficient. Of a hands-off. Oh, it's remarkably efficient. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Our Director of Outreach, Deb Dolson, who I should mention, she really got me deeply involved. She runs a tight ship.
That's great, though. Yeah. So, how can not other nonprofits that want to help you in your mission? I know we talked about different women's clubs that are helping you already. Right. But you've got Rotary, you've got Kiwanis, you've got so many different service organizations, the Optimist, whatever. If people are, our viewers are watching, and they're involved in nonprofit work, how do they go to you? And are you the one to contact? Is Deb?
Yeah, absolutely. More than welcome to reach out to me. My message goes, I guess, to even a broader audience. I'm not involved in this through any particular nonprofit, other than just existing through Plymouth Church and the engagement in that regard. So everyone can help. But if you are part of an organization, what way you can really help us to help the community is by doing food drives of your own. Asking those in your network to donate food, then you can drop that off on a Tuesday morning or a Sunday at Plymouth. And through that's how we're able to do our activities. Let me give you a statistic. So with those 230 households that we support, that equates to 13,000 bags of groceries every year. That equates to 150,000 items of groceries every year, and that at an average cost of only a few dollars. That's $500,000 of food that we're giving out to the local community, which we're so proud of that effort. But I think what's critical is thinking about how much of that is donated, and that's where we're asking for additional help from listeners. If you have organizations that can be a multiplier for you to donate food, obviously we want food from individuals too, the individual supporters. But to give you an idea, we only spend 50 or so thousand every year, and that's a lot on overheads, not on food. So it gives you a really good idea to food donors how important you are to
50,000 when you're giving away 500,000, 50,000 is not a huge administrative cost.
It's not. And by the way, that includes also, we sometimes, for example, if we get only 100 cans of particular vegetable or what have you, we might go to Costco and buy the additional just to make it equitable across the bags. So that includes that expenditure too. And so not only does it show
that's crazy
to food donors how important you are to our mission, but also to financial donors who we have as well, and we're very grateful to all our financial donors, how far your money can go through our work.
Right.
It's an excellent multiplier as well in terms of helping the community. So for every dollar spent, you can essentially see that $10 of food is going out to the community thanks to our donors.
Absolutely. So during, like, holiday times of year? Are there special things that you do? Because
there are, yes, indeed. And so we have organizations. I think there's a particular church, if I'm remembering correctly, that always provides our turkeys. Well, actually, interesting point. So when the food pantry was founded in 1984, it was by 4 churches: St. Stephen's, St. Philip's, Christ Episcopal, and Plymouth Congregational. So we've always been a organization celebrating the holidays in that regard. But yes, we provide frozen turkeys and seasonal trimmings.
That's awesome.
What I will say to your listeners, I mean, we're in what, mid-September now, so people are returning. But actually, where we really need the help is then in January, straight after the holidays, when people have given away their charitable goods for the year or what have you, and then January back to normal. That's when we see a dip in donations, and also in the summer when people are traveling.
So maybe we encourage our viewers to do food drives in January.
That would be perfect.
That would be a good idea.
That's what we're looking for. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Coral Gables Women's Club has a free children's dental clinic. And it seems to me that putting information on the dental clinic to let people know that it's out there and it's available if you qualify might be a good idea that you could deliver with your food packages.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have partnered with other organizations before, ones that, for example, help people with their taxes if they can't, don't have access to their accountants. So we certainly do support that type of endeavor. I will say our focus is food.
I get it. Yeah, you don't want to get it.
But with the extent to which we can multiply, we're very happy to help. Yeah.
But actually, Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we treat 500 patients at the dental clinic a year.
Wow.
So we make food baskets out for Thanksgiving and the same thing with the turkey.
I'll be honest, and again, we're incredibly grateful to all our holiday givers, and we're so grateful. But if you think about this from the standpoint of someone who is in a low-income household looking for nutritional diversity, in November, what they don't need is turkey and cranberry sauce every day for the whole month.
Exactly.
And that sometimes can be a reality. So I encourage listeners, as you mentioned there, Gloria, to think about in those quieter times, where people still need to eat, and it might not be quite such a nice and warm and fuzzy. I'm telling you, it is a nice and warm and fuzzy to be helping us in August, because that's when we need the help the most.
Oh yeah. Well, my church, I live in Doral, so my church has a big bin every Sunday. So people bring in food all the
Fabulous.
time.
Okay, cool.
So it's not just once a week or once a month.
And we're a 12-month organization.
Yeah,
we give out a bag of groceries every week without failure.
Okay, so during COVID, we worked with Flippany.
Okay.
And there was another group, food. Oh, heck. There were so many that were bringing truckloads of food.
Yeah.
And then different grocery stores would give if they had too much produce or they over-ordered something, they would bring it.
Yep.
And so that was...
We have similar relationships, So from I believe it's Trader Joe's and Whole Foods who donate to an intermediary who package that up and bring it to us, and then also we have a relationship with the Milems as well.
That's great.
We get surplus goods from them. Yeah, it's a fantastic relationship.
Oh, and then you were telling me about the compound.
Yes, exactly. So
that's an awesome one.
It's a fun one. So indeed, for those who don't know, there are 4 national tropical botanical gardens in America. One of them is in Miami, and the other 3 are in Hawaii. So if you want to go to a national tropical botanical garden, come to Miami would be my first statement. Now, that's also where the pistachio was brought to America. I don't know if you know that one.
I did not know that. But they have so many things there that nobody knows about.
Right, exactly. So I believe it's David Fairchild. He started it as his own sort of horticultural research facility, I suppose. And to this day, if you don't get chances, if you haven't had chances, it's a fantastic place to go visit. Just to go see all the plants, and it goes right down to the water. It's an absolutely fantastic venue. But what they do is they specialize in the cultivation of tropical fruit, essentially. And Miami is one of the climates where some things can be grown that cannot be grown in New York and Jacksonville, and the like. We are a tropical climate here. But they get surplus fruit, And so we started this relationship about a year ago with them, which was, I mean, incredible, where they then bring the surplus fruit that they harvest to us, and we give that out to the community. Now, the coolest thing is that they'll often bring us stuff and we don't necessarily know what it is.
Exactly.
So they'll provide, information about the fruit, what it, how. But the exciting thing is that a lot of our clients are from tropical climates, and they know what it is.
They know what it is
and what to do with it.
Yeah.
So that it's really cool. Like fruit that I couldn't name goes through our pantry, which is
actually
brilliant.
We've had people come as our guest, and we have people that I remember like seeing fruit out on the counter, because people leave stuff on the counter all the time, and we're going, okay, so what is it? What do we do with it?
Right. Exactly. No, exactly. For sure. And that it's just such an incredible cycle of where the Campon comes from, what its mission is, right through to feeding the local community.
And Fairchild Tropical Botanic, whatever.
Tropical Garden,
Botanical Gardens. I don't know. It's
don't
a mouthful.
Don't call me. But anyway, that's just a great example of a partnership that we have. Supermarkets, food. As mentioned, it's not just about food organizations. It's not just about organizations with spare food. I mean, just to take, for example, we had food drives from the Mayfair, which is a hotel in Coconut Grove. They just did a food drive amongst their staff. Santander is another great partner where they provide volunteers.
The bank?
Exactly. They have a branch right there in Coconut Grove, and they're supportive of what we do, and they provide food and volunteer help, and it's a fantastic. It's great to see, I think, for me, as someone who's been involved with it, and I think I mentioned, the food drive, and then I was brought into the pantry to essentially spool up that pantry partner program. And so seeing that develop over the years, see this group of partners, is what we call them, organizations that support us, see that group just evolve and continue to support us in ways that sometimes we don't expect, but is always welcome. We're so grateful for all the organizations that assist us, and we also then recognize them with a certificate where we say thank you to them, and we present that, and we say thank you for your support of the pantry, with the hope that they'll continue to support us. But that's that's part of the ongoing relationship that we recognize, which is incredible.
Tell me something. That's a lot of work to be doing.
Yeah.
How do you how many volunteers do you have?
Absolutely. So we have about 50 volunteers who regularly volunteer on a Tuesday. That's a good group. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've been to Gibson Hall. It's a church hall of what I would consider a normal church hall standard. You can probably tell from my accent I'm not from around here, but but church, it's a normal sized church hall where we were able to lay out the 230 bags, and we have about 50 volunteers, as I mentioned, who are essentially responsible for taking the food from the shelving that we have and then placing it in the bags, distributing it evenly, and then sending it out. On top of that, we have volunteers who, like me, I have a job, as I mentioned. I work for NASDAQ. Yeah. So on a Tuesday morning, which is when we pack the bags, I don't go and pack the bags. It's just not what I do, and often I'm traveling. So I volunteer, I always say with my fingers, I'm typing on a keyboard. That's where I do my volunteering. Yeah. So we have additional volunteers who are responsible for everything from marketing, communications. We have a lady who she also does pack bags, but she writes our newsletter, and also volunteers in our finance committee, making sure that we do have the cash flow to keep doing operations. So all manner of things where we need support. So do you do fundraisers? So we also have a development committee, and they apply for grants, and we do fundraisers. Indeed, we typically we partner with organizations, so organizations who are doing their own fundraisers. Bodega, for example, the Taqueria in Coconut Grove, they did a fundraiser for us and presented us with a check. So indeed, we do tend to partner with organizations for that type of thing. But I guess I just wanted to mention how diverse the skill set, how diverse the talent, how diverse the activities are from volunteers, because it all contributes to the same cause. Yeah. Well, it's a lot of work to be done. There is. And it's not just packing bags. That's what I want the listeners to take home. It's more than that. It's more than that. We love our backpackers, but it's more than just that. But it's making the contacts. Yes, and, exactly. And making the connections. So super important. Precisely, yeah. So, and have you joined any nonprofits that
service organizations other than, I mean, I would assume that they've got you pretty darn busy.
They've got me pretty darn busy. Yeah. It's absolutely true. I served on the board of outreach for Plymouth for 3 years. So I was responsible for the charitable endeavors of Plymouth Congregational for that period. And essentially after that, I said, okay, I'm going to focus my energy on Coconut Grove Crisis Food Pantry, which is how I find these opportunities to speak with you, good self. You know, I personally, I've doubled down on this endeavor, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. So
sometimes you just have to do that.
You have to,
go deep. And obviously, they need you desperately.
I'm very proud of the work that we've done. I'm super proud of the whole group, and grateful for the opportunity, frankly, to give back in the ways that I've been able to. As mentioned, it's not always the way you expect. Sometimes it's like, oh no, we need XYZ. Okay, well, Nick can get on that.
Well, you know, I think one of the things that people don't understand when you take on a project like this, that it's not just about the satisfaction of doing the work you're doing and the outreach you're doing. It's also the friendships you make with people of like-minded, that like to give back to the community.
Right, exactly. And we're seeing some of them on the screen here.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I think the critical
some
thing
of those
for
people
me,
look familiar.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a fantastic point, Gloria, because I think that something that in a city like Miami, I know it's might be a specific thing for me, and people who have been here for a long time might not necessarily feel this way, but Miami inherently has a certain transience. There's a certain element of people coming for a job, leaving for a job, doing it, you know, coming for university, leaving for university. Particularly in my world, finance, you know, people moving down. You better believe when there's a hurricane, they'll be thinking about that one. But the point being, there's an inherent transience that can take away from communities in some way, shape, or form, but also takes away a little bit from the human soul. When I moved to America, I found that quite quickly I was just hanging out with people who were my age, looked like me, did jobs like me, income bracket as me, all that stuff. And what's been fabulous about getting involved in Plymouth and Coconut Grove Crisis Food Pantry is that you do make friends, and friends for life, by the way, because we've done a lot of work together. But friends for life from age groups, from backgrounds that you just absolutely wouldn't otherwise. And so that's why I personally, I feel like I've certainly got more out of this experience than I've given, because of all the fabulous people I've met along the way. Well,
like you, I moved from when I was in my early 30s. Yeah. I moved from St. Petersburg, so I didn't know anybody.
Right.
And it was all through nonprofit work that I made my best friends in the whole world.
There it is. Yeah.
So I get it, and it's easier. It's a great way for anybody new in the community. And whenever I meet somebody that's just arrived, I find out what their interests are, and then I hook them up with a charity or two.
That's brilliant. Yeah. No, it's absolutely part of it. It's so great to be involved in the community. One thing I want to make sure we mention is, so I think I mentioned earlier, 1984 was our founding year.
Oh, your anniversary.
This is our anniversary, exactly. So 40th anniversary this year.
Doesn't know the exact date, by the way. Who needs a date when you've got a whole year?
We've got a whole year as we celebrate. So actually, we have a celebration coming up where we're gonna toast the pantry. That's in October, but this Thursday.
When in October?
And
is it a fundraiser?
I believe it's October 30th. Sorry, you're gonna have to. We'll post it on our Facebook.
Oh, there you go.
And it'll be later in October. Actually, no, I tell a lie because I get back on the 18th. I'm traveling for work, so my October's all over the place. But that's not what I'm mentioning. So that's in October 20th or thereabouts. The city of Miami does these proclamations at the start of their commission meetings.
Yes.
And this is something they've done for a very long time. And we are very grateful for the district commissioner, Damian Pardo, District 2.
He has a show here.
Oh, there you go. Fabulous. For nominating us and arranging for us to receive a proclamation this coming Thursday, so 2 days' time. I know the date of that one. And that will be at 9 o'clock at the city of Miami, and we are very grateful for that and looking forward to celebrating with the city.
Congratulations on your 40th, and keep us posted on all the activities surrounding your 40th. You need to have some stuff going on.
Yes, exactly. And I'm sorry for not remembering the date, but that gives listeners
right.
a great excuse to check out our Facebook. We also have a website, Coconut Grove.
I'll put it in my column. You just send me a press release.
Fabulous, right. Yes.
So, would you believe our time is up? It goes so quickly. Look, 21 seconds. So, thank you so much for coming today, Nick. It was such a delight to meet you. Absolutely. And continue your good work. And again, thank you, South Florida PBS, for sponsoring our show week after week. And if you're not a member, join today and get some great concert tickets. Okay? Until next time, make an impact in your community that's positive, be kind, and be generous, especially to the food pantry.
Exactly.